dating all the way back to 2008 with World at War until now in 2019 with Black Ops 4, Call of Duty Zombies has been quite the endeavor. It's been a roller coaster. There have been ups, there have been downs, and throughout it all, we've been provided for over a decade entertainment, friendships, memories, and most notably, the best storyline in any video game I've ever played. Tag der Toten not only marks the end of Black Ops 4 Zombies, but the Ether Zombie storyline at large, which is still very hard to process. Being a fan of something for over a decade and having it end so abruptly, it's very hard. It has now been weeks since Tag der Toten released, the hype has died down and the dust has settled. And I'm going to be analyzing Black Ops 4 Zombies as a whole. It's a very tough pill to swallow, but Black Ops 4 Zombies failed. And it wasn't for one particular reason. In fact, there were many. Black Ops 4 Zombies simply failed to do many things that previous Treyarch Zombies installments have done so easily in the past. It had a little bit to do with the story, a little bit to do with the gameplay, and a lot to do with the developers. And please, allow me this before you pull out the pitchforks and the torches. I never thought BO4 was a terrible game. Put it in a vacuum, devoid of context, don't compare it to previous Treyarch games. It's not terrible, but in contrast to other Zombies games, it just didn't hold up. Sure, I have fond memories of this game, the boys and I playing late nights and making some pretty interesting content on my channel, and a lot of the maps, disregarding the gameplay and the engine, were actually very well designed. Not everything about this game is terrible, but there was a lot of room for improvement, and it was largely disappointing. Before we get any further though, let's rewind to Black Ops 3. Before we talk about BO4's failure, I think it's important to talk about BO3's success. The bar was set very, very high. The expectations for BO4 were very high due to BO3's previous success. Black Ops 3 seems to be the fan favorite. It seems to be the most profound game in terms of story and gameplay. It was fulfilling in every capacity. Everywhere you look, there is nothing but content. The game had a clear, distinguished identity with an intriguing story, with familiar and lovable characters, on a mission which was very easy to get on board with. There were 14 Zombies maps, 5 of which were brand new, innovative, massive experiences, 9 of which were faithful remasters that seemed to do nothing but enhance the experience. Yes, microtransactions snuck their way into the game, but I would be lying to you if I said I didn't enjoy the Gobblegum system. There were 63 of them, 19 classic and 44 mega, making the game fun and overpowered. You could either use them and make the game a lot more interesting and fun, or you could not use them if you were an experienced player and you wanted a challenge. And the game motivated you to level up, both yourself and your weapons. In the weapons kits, you were able to add attachments and camos. Calling cards and achievements were a real grind, and so was getting to Prestige Master level 1000. People were frequently doing that in this game. You could tell with this game that Treyarch was passionate. The maps were new and highly detailed, the graphics were phenomenal, the story was great. Zombies had reached a peak. It was at an all-time high, especially on YouTube and in the community. This game went above and beyond. It offered anything and everything you needed in a Zombies installment. It seemed like a stopping point for Treyarch. Revelations had wrapped everything up and it was back to the drawing board. Until inevitably Activision called them up and said, "Hey, Treyarch, these Black Ops titles, man, pretty damn good, so I expect you to make a Black Ops 4, goodbye." Hey, the campaign's coming along pretty well so far. Look how successful Fortnite's doing. I want to replicate that. I want a Battle Royale. Let's make it. Okay. Well, we've already spent months developing this campaign. We're far into the progression of it. Would you like us to scrap it and have wasted all of that time? Yes. Yes to all of that. You realize now that our multiplayer has no meaning and carries little to no merit because of an absence of a campaign, right? And you realize now that with all of our attention going towards Blackout, we have little to no time to develop multiplayer, right? We're fine. We're fucking Treyarch. Oh shit, I forgot about zombies. How do you expect Black Ops 4 Zombies to have succeeded under these conditions, under all of these budget cuts, and with no passion anymore? That's really the crux of everything. Treyarch did not have enough manpower, did not have enough resources, did not have enough passion for the game anymore to make anything anywhere close to Black Ops 3. What we ended up getting was a rushed, unpolished, and somehow overly complicated zombies mode. And the game launched with 4 maps. Voyage of Despair, 9, Blood of the Dead, and Classified, which on paper sounds good, right? The more the merrier. Well, wrong, actually, because quality is greater than quantity. I would rather have 2 quality launch maps than 4 lower quality maps. Take Black Ops 3 for example. The 2 launch maps were Shadows of Evil and The Giant. Shadows of Evil was a large, complex, innovative experience that wasn't necessarily beginner friendly, but contrastly you had The Giant, which was a remaster. It was familiar and straightforward. The map selection welcomed all and also didn't overwhelm you with too many. At the launch of BO4, you were overwhelmed. You had 4 maps to choose from, 4 Easter eggs to choose from, 2 different storylines to try to follow, and it was never clear from the beginning which storyline we should prioritize, Chaos or Ether. Was this game all about Ether with a side Chaos story, or was it all about Chaos with an Ether side story? We didn't really know which one was going to end first. Blood of the Dead and Classified were mere remasters. Should we be anticipating more in the future, or is that it? And not to mention, the community was divided from day one. With 4 maps and 4 Easter eggs to choose from, people were more divided than ever. BO4 had made many changes from the previously successful BO3 engine. They took a lot of features out and put a lot of new ones in. There was an entirely new perk system, specialist system, gobblegum system, HUD, health and difficulty systems. Nearly everything had been scrambled around. About a month has gone by now. The Easter eggs had been solved, the hype had died down, and this is when people began noticing and criticizing these changes that they were too busy and occupied to have complained about earlier. We'll start with the biggest change, the perk system. In previous Zombies installments, you walked up to a perk machine with its own dedicated style, personality, and jingle. You purchased it, and it gave you a specific ability. Depending on which map you were playing, there were upwards of 9 perk machines. This granted the player in-game variety. If they went down, they could get back up and get a new set of perks. They weren't limited if they wanted to change their mind. Of course, some perks had priority over others. For example, Juggernog was a perk that pretty much anyone in any game purchased because it was a no-brainer. Jason Blundell and the team at Treyarch decided that they wanted to eliminate crutch perks and have perks be a more preference-oriented system. So by eliminating crutch perks, it would come down to personal preference, and it really just depended on your own playstyle. They were all equally effective and equally powerful, it just depended on who you were. If you're a player that's more prone to downing, Dying Wish might be your choice. If you're a player who enjoys melee weapons, Ethereal Razor is your go. Treyarch decided enough was enough and they were going to get rid of these crutch perks. They were going to get rid of the core 4 perks and implement them into the game and have the regular perk system be totally personality driven. By pack-a-punching your weapon 5 times, you would obtain the double tap ability. By purchasing all 4 perks, you would obtain the speed cola effect through the modifier. Quick Revive's original ability had become obsolete due to the implementation of self-revives, and the entire concept of Juggernog was removed from the game. You would spawn in with a default 200 HP, which you could then increase or decrease by changing the difficulty. By doing this, Treyarch had hoped that every perk had an equal chance of being selected, and that the original 4 perks weren't being selected over and over and over again, taking opportunities away from other perks. Theoretically, this new perk system is genius, but in practice, it's not. It only caused more issues. Issue number 1 is that Treyarch took away our beloved iconic perks. See, Juggernog is a staple within the game mode. It's so iconic that people who haven't ever touched a controller and haven't ever played the game mode would probably recognize it. Juggernog, Quick Revive, Speed Cola, Double Tap, believe it or not, it's a part of the player. We're so attached to it. It's been in so many Zombies maps up to this point. When it gets torn away from us, we feel lost, and in a strange way feel betrayed. How dare you take away Juggernog? You still have Juggernog, you still have the 200 HP, but it doesn't feel the same. Back in the old days, you didn't spawn in with 200 HP, you spawned in with much less. You were vulnerable, you got hit 2 or 3 times and it was game over. You had to be very, very careful, you had to keep your distance, you had to collect points and then purchase Juggernog. It was very, very nerve-wracking until you got Juggernog. But what happens in Black Ops 4 is you spawn in the game with 200 HP, not having to worry as much about the zombies hitting you. You never feel vulnerable at the beginning of the game. You also have a specialist and equipment immediately. Issue number 2 is that no matter how hard you try to erase crutch perks, they will always exist. Dying Wish is a good example. Dying Wish has become the crutch perk of Black Ops 4. It grants you 1 extra life. It's in a way like Quick Revive. That became a staple in many people's perk selections. Stamina Up is another great example. Many people run Stamina Up, I would say the majority of people, because of its effectiveness in this game. Personally, I pick the same 4, maybe 5 or 6 perks every single time. I never stray away from that. Even in a perk system where everything is equal and up to preference, I still pick the same 4 perks. What Treyarch failed to consider with this new perk system is that people like to attach themselves and get comfortable with one setup. People aren't going to randomly select 4 perks every single time they play zombies. They're far more likely to select 4 that they enjoy the most and stick with that for a long time. So in all reality, this entire system didn't fix anything. And nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to pack-a-punch their weapon 5 times, costing a grand total of 15,000 points to get their weapon at its fullest potential in damage. Nobody wants to do that. It's much simpler to put it in once, like the good old days. By fixing this crutch double tap perk problem, all you've done is create an entirely new one that's even more difficult than the other problem. And issue number 3 is that the perks no longer feel special. In the good old days, you would walk up to a perk machine and hear a jingle, sort of a sales pitch. You would listen to it, have a fun time with it, and then you would buy it. It was its own dedicated machine, but in Black Ops 4, that's not the case. You walk up to the tonic machine, you walk up to the brew machine, not dedicated to that perk. It has no jingle, it has no personality. You walk up, drink it, walk away, you never go back. It just doesn't have any personality, and because of the parity of all the abilities, because everything is so equal and there aren't any discrepancies from good or bad perks anymore, like a shitty who's who and a really good jug, right? Everything just feels the same. Nothing feels special. Yeah, I would say Dying Wish is better than a perk like Death Perception, but not miles better. They're all relatively middle of the pack perks. You no longer have to prioritize anything, and you can't meme on the shitty perks. Everything is just the same. It's like communism. I would say this new perk system sort of fixed the crutch perk issue, but by doing so created many more problems, so not really. Now let's talk about the specialist system. In BO3 Zombies, you had to go on a quest. You had to complete a list of tasks. Oftentimes not very easy, and it did take a while, but by doing so you were rewarded with a very good specialist weapon, which would sort of tag along with your main wonder weapon. You did not need to obtain the specialist to have a fun high round survival, but it was ideal, and it also rewarded the players who did choose to go the extra mile. In Black Ops 4, however, you spawn in with the specialist. You don't have to go on a quest to do it, which is relieving, I suppose. But again, by fixing one issue, you've created many more. You spawn in the fucking map with a Hammer of Valhalla. You spawn in the map with the Chakrams of Vengeance. You spawn in the map already invincible. You have 200 HP and a specialist, not to mention the Wraith Fires, the Acid Grenades, the equipment. There is no vulnerability at the beginning of the game, and it destroys all progression through rounds. It used to be that you had to collect points and strengthen yourself round by round until by round 30 you would be some sort of demigod. You already are the demigod by round 1 on BO4. The zombies increase in difficulty, but you stay the same. It totally destroys the progression of the game. Honestly, why even buy perks? Go straight to the Pack-a-Punch machine. You may as well upgrade your weapons because you already have 200 HP. You see what I mean? It totally destroys the progression and the flow of zombies in which we were familiar with and worked. Once upon a time, you would buy a wall weapon, save up a bunch of points, buy the perks, hope to God that you got the wonder weapon through the box, and then make your way to Pack-a-Punch. Nowadays, it's totally flipped on its head. It's totally inversed. You spawn in with Jug, you spawn in with the wonder weapon, you don't even need to go after perks, you go straight to the Pack-a-Punch machine, and you don't even have to worry about anything else. The new perk system and the new specialist system are perfect examples of fixing things that aren't broken. That's what this entire game is. That's what the entire premise of Black Ops 4 Zombies is. Fixing things that aren't broken to begin with. Innovating for innovation's sake. We can't bring back the 4 core perks. We can't bring back what was working for all of these years. We need to implement something new. Going on a quest and working hard to obtain a very powerful wonder weapon? Nah, fam. Spawn in with that shit. And it's all tied together with this disgusting HUD. Look at how many things are on the fucking screen. Why is this necessary? Half of the things on this HUD could be erased. I don't need to see a visual of my gun in the bottom corner. I'm holding the gun. What was wrong with the Black Ops 3 HUD? Look at this. What was wrong with it? It all worked perfectly fine. But we are fixing issues that aren't issues. And you know what I love most about this game? The zombies themselves. I love the tracking. I love how they swipe at you and literally stop you in your tracks while you're running. I love how you can't train them properly anymore because half of them are sporadically running around with their dicks chopped off, not being consistent zombies, just randomly throwing themselves around. And I love how when I'm running, I see them spawning in front of me. I love their predictability. They can spawn in front of you, they spawn from behind you, from your sides, they spawn all around you constantly, and they respawn if you walk 50 feet away from them. The Black Ops 4 zombies make it impossible not to have a shield. And speaking of shields, you have to continuously pay for them. If it breaks, you gotta pay more. And then the next time it breaks, you gotta pay even more than you did the last time, and so on. And it just goes on until you're paying 100,000 points for a fucking shield. A free shield? No, we gotta fix that. Consistent zombies that you can actually train? No, we gotta fix that. And of course, on top of all of this, microtransactions had to sneak their way into this game as well, this time being elixirs elixirs instead of the fun gobblegum system we once had. Elixirs are nothing short of boring. The classic ones are pretty useful, and I do use them, but only them. I haven't used a single mega elixir. Not one. Not one talisman either. I swear on everything I own and love, I haven't touched them. They're just not as fun. They're not as loose and as comfortable as those gobblegum. We were all so familiar with those. And then these elixirs are just knockoffs for the most part. I just find it difficult caring about the elixirs or even using them to begin with. To unlock these elixirs, you need to obtain Nebulium Plasma. Is that how you say that? What was wrong with Liquid Divinium? The inconsistencies bother me. They changed so many names, but don't change all of them. They changed Electric Cherry to Electric Burst, but not Mule Kick. They changed Deadshot Daiquiri to Deadshot Dealer, but not Quick Revive or Stamina. They changed all the double pack variants to different names when we all know that Brain Rot is Turn. We all know that Kilowatt is Deadwire. You're not fooling us. Oh, and I totally forgot about the new point system. Damage-based points. God, did we need that? Pretty much every core mechanic of BO4 Zombies was fixing an issue that wasn't an issue to begin with. The BO4 engine is, in my opinion, total garbage. And you know what? How about them graphics? A total downgrade from BO3. Now, some people will tell you that BO4 graphics are better than BO3, and though that may be true, I'm doing the eye test. I look at Black Ops 3 gameplay, I then look at Black Ops 4 gameplay. BO3 graphics are better. I don't know the fine details of it, I don't know the technicalities of graphics, but what I do know is that when I look at the two and I juxtapose them, I see that BO4 is a downgrade, and it's 3 years after BO3, so that's sort of an issue, I would say. Honestly, I could go on and on and on. I'm probably going to be forgetting a few things, but I will say one final thing about the gameplay, because I've been going on for a while and I don't want to make this an hour-long video. You cannot relax on Black Ops 4 Zombies. You can't. It is overwhelming 100% of the time. Take a look at this Dead of the Night gameplay. Does this look relaxing to you in any way, shape, or form? Look at this madness. Look at the chaos this is. No pun intended. I'm trying to hoard up zombies, the same as I've been doing for the past decade of my life playing the game mode. And as you can see, nothing is cooperating. You have these little shits, these little Nosferatus running in left and right, making my life a living hell. You have the werewolf spawning in every now and then. You have the regular zombies. And then, of course, you have the catalyst zombies. The catalyst zombies are total and utter horseshit. All they do is ruin this game. Take them out and all I see is improvement. I don't care that the game has been out for a year. Treyarch, take them out and I will give you mad props. All right. Not only do they run around sporadically and the tracking is broken, but you have to adjust your play style in so many different ways in such short time. When I see a werewolf spawn in, I go, oh fuck, I gotta grab silver bullets. I gotta go deal with this. This is gonna take a long time to chip away at. Meanwhile, I have 700 Nosferatus coming my way, and I have regular zombies, which are already overwhelming to begin with, and then I have catalyst zombies. I have that little shitty poison one that blows up, and I have the electric one that blinds me for 30 seconds. It's just too much. It just is. So pretty much everything about the gameplay, the engine, the core mechanics, the zombies themselves, nearly everything was a change and not a change for the better. And that is one of the major reasons why BO4 failed. But there's a lot more to it than just that. Let's shift our attention away from the core gameplay and look at the map variety. There are 8 zombies maps in this game, 4 of which were launched and the other 4 being DLCs. The 4 chaos maps are Voyage of Despair, 9, Dead of the Night, and Ancient Evil. Personally, I find Ancient Evil and 9 to be top 10 maps. I think they're beautiful in their own ways. You then have Voyage of Despair and Dead of the Night, which prove to be some of the worst maps. But what all 4 of these maps share in common is that they are part of the new Chaos storyline. One of the main reasons why BO4 failed is because this Chaos storyline wasn't very intriguing. I do realize that it is very difficult to attach yourself to a brand new zombies crew in a new story when the traditional Ether one that's been going on for the past decade is in the same game. It is pretty difficult to get people to buy into Chaos, but it was still underwhelming and still was poorly executed. The 4 characters, Diego, Shaw, Bruno, and Scarlet, they weren't groundbreaking, and some of them were direct parallels to the Ether characters. For example, Nikolai was sort of the brute of that group. Bruno shares the same characteristics, and Shaw is the alchemist of the group, sort of a spin-off of the mad scientist in Richtofen. There was absolutely no reason to care about the Dead of the Night crew. The Chaos storyline overall was just uninteresting, especially in contrast to the Ether storyline. So, disregarding the poorly received Chaos storyline, we're left with the Ether storyline. 4 maps, Blood of the Dead, Classified, Alpha, Omega, and Togdur Toten, and there's sort of a reoccurring theme amongst all of those maps. They're all remasters. Not a single original Ether Zombies map has been produced since Gorod Krovi. Wow. Technically, these maps are reimagined and not direct remasters. They did change them quite a bit, and they do feel a lot different, but there wasn't much innovation to them. My theory with Black Ops 4 is that when Activision inevitably told Treyarch to make a simple cash grab for them, Treyarch didn't really know what to do with the story, so they decided to make an entirely new one in Chaos. They made 4 relatively uninteresting maps, some of which were beautifully designed, but in the grand scheme of things didn't mean much, and realizing that the Chaos storyline wasn't intriguing or fulfilling enough, decided to add 4 remasters in to fluff out the rest of the game, because remasters always sell. So they took 4 maps in the past that hadn't been, Call of the Dead, Mob of the Dead 5, and Nuketown, threw them in the BO4 engine, and called it a day. They did the bare minimum. They weren't passionate about any of this because, like I said, they were limited on time and resources. Threw these maps together under duress and called it a day, and I think that's so apparent, especially through the Wonder Weapon variety. On Blood of the Dead, you had the Blundergat return with a new Magmagat variant. I thought that was pretty cool, but it's not groundbreaking. On Classified, the Winter's Howl returned. On Alpha Omega, you had the Raygun Mark II return with elemental upgrades. And on Tog Der Toten, you had the Wonderwaff return with a scope this time, and a Thundergun return. There's just no innovation. And though it's true that these 4 Ether maps do hold significance within the zombie storyline, I felt as though they didn't actually have to do that in the first place. They could have gone in a completely different direction that didn't involve remasters. But remasters we got, and only remasters. It's crazy to think that we haven't had an original Ether map for 3 years now. I just found the map variety to be such a letdown. If you didn't enjoy Chaos, which the majority of players didn't, then you were left with Ether. In the beginning, when all we had was Blood of the Dead and Classified, we were under the impression that yes, these are good remasters, I'll take them, but I do want more maps in the future that are innovative and brand new. Turns out, DLC 3 was Nuketown. Great, I wonder what DLC 4 is going to be, the final Ether Zombies map. This is it, right? What are we gonna end Zombies on? Another remaster? You bet your sweet ass! Black Ops 4 Zombies failed because it was unoriginal. It lacked innovation. Half of the maps were remasters. There was a relatively uninteresting story and Easter eggs to tag along with that. There was a new tasteless perk system, there was an overpowered specialist system, an unnecessarily complicated HUD. Pretty much everything about the game was overly complicated, overly thought out, and it really seemed as though there was a lack of true identity or purpose within this game mode. The game fixed so many issues that weren't even issues. They were focusing on trying to innovate so hard that they ended up breaking everything in the process. Again, a lot of this does have to do with the budget cuts. They were very limited on manpower, resources, time, etc. I get that. Activision is very culpable for a lot of these issues. It really isn't all on Treyarch. But I just feel as though you have to have enough time to conclude Zombies. I did enjoy the ending, personally. I thought it was profound. I thought it was wholesome. But it was a very abrupt ending, and it didn't feel like the right time or place. Ending on a remaster as the Victus crew, it worked, but was it the best possible solution? The slow animated cutscenes, they worked, but were they the best possible solution? Could there have been any more time or energy put into those to at least make them a CGI cutscene? It doesn't have to be the Great War, but can we get at least a little bit of dialogue in person? The cutscenes were one of the biggest reasons why people couldn't attach themselves emotionally to this story. How can you? It was for many reasons that Black Ops 4 Zombies failed. I understand for the past 20 minutes I've been ranting, and I've made this game seem terrible. I don't think it is terrible. I think, on a scale from 1 to 10, I'd give it a 6. There are many issues with it. I just think that in contrast to other Treyarch Zombies games, it was such a downgrade. We have previously been given 8 out of 10s, 9 out of 10s for Zombies experiences, but with this, we were given a 6 out of 10. It was slightly above average. Again, in a vacuum, when you don't compare it to the other games, it isn't bad. If Black Ops 4 was the only Zombies game we had ever received, I think it would be received pretty well. But after years and years of playing Treyarch Zombies, especially Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4 just didn't hold up. And it wasn't all bad. It did innovate in some pretty unique ways as well. I thought Rush Mode was pretty cool. I thought Gauntlet was pretty cool, but it wasn't enough to keep a player playing for over a year. I have fond memories on this game. I haven't hated every moment of it. In fact, I've enjoyed myself for the most part over the past year. Just playing with my friends, making some pretty interesting content, but there are some glaring issues with this game. And now it's over. Black Ops 4 and the Ether Zombie storyline is over. They probably are going to produce Zombies Chronicles 2, DLC 5, and remaster those Victus maps, but as far as we know, it's totally over. And that bears the question, what next? Where are we going? For many zombies YouTubers out there, this does mark the end. It's a perfect time to stop. Wrapping up college and moving into adulthood, it's sort of the beginning of a new chapter and the end of an old one. For me, it's a little bit different. I'm a freshman in college. I'm in my first semester. I'm just a wee lad. Just got out of high school, so it's very difficult for me to gauge what I'm going to be doing with this channel. I started just after Revelations, and I've grown quite an audience since then. And I really did miss the peak of zombies. But what I will say is I don't intend on stopping anytime soon, especially with custom zombies. There is so much variety and so much replayability within custom zombies. I think I'm going to be uploading that for the most part, and I will still continue challenge videos. The next Treyarch title is expected after Modern Warfare, and that could be a very good zombies game. Or maybe not even a zombies game. Maybe they decide to go in a totally different direction. Either way, I will be anticipating that, and I will try it, and I will see how it goes. Maybe I'll do that sort of content, maybe I won't. I don't really know. I have no reason to stop right now though, but many zombies YouTubers do. I am one of the newer faces in the community, so for all of those old timers that have been doing this on YouTube for over a decade, I understand why they're leaving. Me, I've been only doing this for about 3 years now, so I gotta give it some more time. I'm still enjoying it. Please do subscribe if you want to stick through it with me. Also, make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video. I realize for the most part, it was... Actually, not for the most part. It was entirely negative. But I do believe that Black Ops 4 was a total flop. And it wasn't just for one reason. Again, it was for so many. I do understand there's a lot of people out there that do like Black Ops 4 Zombies and disagree with just about everything I said. In which case, you're entitled to your own opinion. That's fine. This is just the way I see it, and I hope you do. Have a fantastic day. Thank you for watching. I gotta go. Goodbye.